Some of the biggest stories you believe about celebrities were never true, not because anyone sat down and decided to lie to you, but because the lie was more useful than the truth, more comfortable, more entertaining, easier to accept than reality ever was. Most celebrity myths don't survive because they're accurate. They survive because they serve a purpose. They make fame feel magical. They make success feel earned by destiny instead of systems. They turn ordinary human decisions into legends we can repeat without questioning. Fame doesn't create truth, it creates narratives, carefully shaped stories designed to travel faster than facts. Stories that protect industries, protect systems, protect audiences from having to confront how power actually works, because the myth is almost always more profitable than reality. These stories soften the uncomfortable parts of fame, they hide the machinery behind the curtain, they give us heroes, villains, miracles, cautionary tales, all wrapped in faces we recognize and think we understand. And by the end of this video, some of your favorite celebrity facts won't survive. Not because they were stupid to believe, but because they were designed to be believed, and once you start seeing the pattern behind these myths, once you understand why they were created and who they serve, you won't be able to unsee it again. Myth 1: They sold their soul. When people talk about fame, they rarely talk about it like a system. They talk about it like a ritual, like something dark had to be exchanged for something bright. Like no one could rise that high without paying a hidden price. That's where the story begins. Whispers about celebrities selling their soul for fame, symbols frozen in music videos, strange hand signs on red carpets, contracts described like ancient scrolls, conspiracy threads that turn success into something occult and forbidden. The myth feels powerful because it explains something uncomfortable. It gives shape to the gap between ordinary life and extraordinary visibility. It tells us that fame must come from somewhere unnatural, because accepting that it comes from systems feels harder. Deep down, society needs success to feel supernatural. Because if fame is magical, then its absence isn't a failure of access or opportunity, it's just fate. If success is cursed, then inequality becomes destiny instead of design. But when you strip away the symbolism, the truth is quieter and far less dramatic. Fame doesn't come from rituals or hidden bargains, it comes from access to platforms, leverage within industries, timing aligned with cultural moments, and systems that amplify some voices while burying others. Behind every so-called overnight rise is a web of managers, labels, investors, publicists, algorithms, and institutions that decide what gets seen and what doesn't. Fame isn't summoned, it's constructed. And the reason the soul-selling myth survives isn't because it's true. It's because it's useful, it protects us from confronting how uneven the playing field really is. It turns structural advantage into moral mystery. We mythologize success so we don't have to question why the same doors keep opening for the same kinds of people. Turning power into folklore is easier than admitting that fame is less about who you are, and more about where you stand within the system that decides who matters. Myth 2: Artists write all their songs alone. We like to imagine the artist alone in a room, lights low, emotions raw, pouring truth directly onto the page, the solo genius creating something timeless from nothing but talent and pain. That image feels sacred because it tells us greatness is born, not built, that real art comes from isolation, not collaboration, and the music that moves millions must have come from a single, untouched mind. But the industry rarely works that way. And it never really has. Behind most hit songs are rooms full of writers, producers, engineers, editors, and executives shaping melodies, refining lyrics, adjusting sounds until something shareable emerges. Collaboration isn't a secret. It's the standard: songwriting camps, co-writing credits, production teams, all designed to maximize reach, emotion, and commercial impact, even when one name appears on the cover. Yet the myth survives because teamwork feels invisible. It doesn't fit the romantic story we want to tell about creativity. We prefer to believe in lone brilliance rather than collective effort, because it makes success feel purer and failure easier to personalize. By worshiping individuality, we erase the networks that make art possible, and we misunderstand how creativity actually works, not as a lightning strike from a single mind, but as a process shaped by many hands, many ears, and many compromises, all hidden behind one face we're taught to celebrate. Myth 3: Child stars are set for life. We grow up believing that fame at a young age is a golden ticket. That once a child becomes famous, their future is locked in, protected, guaranteed, safe from the instability the rest of the world faces. The image is comforting. A talented kid, a breakout role, sudden wealth, applause, and a life permanently elevated above ordinary struggle. Feels like a fairy tale with a clean ending. But childhood fame doesn't come with adult protection. It comes with adult pressure before the tools to survive it exist. Contracts are signed before understanding. Money arrives before maturity, and control often belongs to parents, managers, studios, and legal systems designed for profit, not well-being. The cameras move on faster than people expect. Relevance fades, opportunities shrink, and many child stars are left navigating adulthood without privacy, without stability, and sometimes without the wealth they were promised. What looks like security from the outside is often delayed development on the inside. Fame interrupts identity before it forms, replacing growth with performance, expectation, and constant evaluation. The myth survives because we want success to feel permanent, especially when it comes early. But early fame doesn't guarantee a stable life, it often complicates it, and the cost is usually paid years after the applause stops. Myth 4. Celebrity feuds are always real. When celebrities clash, we treat it like truth unfolding in public, interviews dissected, lyrics decoded, social media posts analyzed as if we're watching raw emotion spill out in real time. The narrative feels authentic. Two egos colliding, personal history turned into spectacle, drama that seems too specific to be manufactured. But conflict is one of the most efficient attention machines in entertainment. It drives clicks, streams, headlines, and loyalty, and sometimes tension is encouraged, exaggerated, or quietly sustained because it keeps people watching. Feuds don't always start as fiction, but they often evolve into strategy, shaped by timing, releases, press cycles, and audience reaction, where silence or escalation becomes a calculated move. The audience believes because conflict feels honest, but harmony rarely trends. Disagreement creates sides, sides create engagement, and engagement creates profit. The myth lasts because we confuse visibility with authenticity, forgetting that public conflict doesn't need to be fake to be useful. It only needs to be amplified. Myth 5. Celebrities control their own image. From the outside, celebrities look powerful, famous faces, massive followings, global recognition. It feels logical to assume they control how they're seen. But image is rarely owned by the person living inside it. It's shaped by publicists, managers, labels, studios, algorithms, contracts, and platforms that decide what gets promoted, softened, hidden, or repeated. Even personal moments are filtered through strategy. What to post, when to post. What to say, what to avoid, silence itself becoming part of the narrative. The illusion of control exists because the final image feels cohesive. But cohesion is usually the result of negotiation, compromise, and pressure behind the scenes. The myth protects the idea of autonomy. It tells us fame equals freedom, when in reality visibility often reduces choice. Because every action becomes content, every mistake becomes permanent. Public image isn't a reflection, it's a construction, and the person at the center rarely holds all the tools. Myth 6. Overnight success is real. We love the story of sudden discovery, one viral moment, one song, one role, and everything changes overnight. It's inspiring because it suggests timing alone can rewrite a life, that success might arrive without warning, without years of uncertainty or failure. But what looks sudden is usually the final visible moment of a long invisible process. Years of work done without attention, practice without applause, rejection without audience. By the time success appears, systems are already in place, teams assembled, infrastructure ready to amplify the moment when it finally breaks through. The myth survives because it makes success feel accessible and magical, but it also hides the labor required to sustain it. Calling it overnight success erases persistence, preparation, and the many people who helped build the path long before anyone was watching. What we label as sudden is often just the first time we noticed, not the moment it began. Myth 7. Celebrities are extremely intelligent. When someone becomes famous, we don't just admire their talent, we start assigning them wisdom. Their opinions feel heavier, their words sound more authoritative, and their thoughts are treated like insight. Visibility creates the illusion of intelligence because the more we hear someone speak, the more we assume they must know what they're talking about. Fame turns familiarity into credibility. But intelligence is domain-specific. Talent in one area doesn't translate into expertise everywhere else. And being skilled at performing doesn't mean being informed about politics, science, economics, or society. Celebrities are often surrounded by agreement, insulated from contradiction, and rewarded for confidence rather than accuracy, which can distort perspective over time. The myth survives because we want our icons to be complete, not just talented but enlightened, because believing in flawed geniuses is harder than believing in well-rounded ones. In reality, fame amplifies voices, not understanding, and the platform itself becomes mistaken for proof of intellect. Myth 8. Celebrities are rich forever. We assume that once someone earns millions, financial security is permanent, that wealth, once achieved, protects itself. From the outside, celebrity wealth looks endless: luxury homes, cars, travel, generosity, spending that signals abundance. But high income doesn't guarantee stability. Expenses grow with lifestyle, entourages expand, bad advice goes unquestioned, and money flows out as quickly as it comes in. Many celebrities earn intensely for short windows, without the financial literacy or time needed to build longevity, and when the spotlight fades, the income often does too. The myth persists because wealth feels like a shield, but without management it becomes temporary, and without planning even large fortunes can collapse. Money doesn't fail celebrities, misunderstanding it does. Myth 9. Award shows are about talent. Award ceremonies present themselves as objective recognition. The best performance, the best song, the best film, the ultimate proof of excellence. The stage is polished, the speech is emotional, the trophy symbolic, everything about the spectacle suggests fairness and merit. Behind the scenes, awards are shaped by campaigns, relationships, timing, politics, and perception. Studios promote narratives, voters are influenced, visibility matters as much as quality. Talent is necessary, but it's rarely sufficient, and many extraordinary works are ignored because they don't fit the moment, the message, or the marketing strategy. The myth survives because we want art to be judged cleanly, but prestige is often curated, not discovered. Winning doesn't mean something was the best. It often means it was positioned correctly. Myth 10. Actors always perform their own stunts. Action scenes are designed to feel personal, dangerous, and authentic. The camera lingers on faces. The risk feels real, the performance looks heroic. When an actor is praised for doing their own stunts, it reinforces the idea that what we're seeing is raw courage, not construction. But filmmaking is built on illusion. Stunt doubles, camera angles, editing, safety rigs, and choreography combine to create danger without destroying the production. Even when actors perform some stunts, the most dangerous moments are carefully delegated, because no studio can afford to risk the entire project on one injury. The myth survives because authenticity sells, and audiences want to believe they're witnessing something real. Cinema doesn't document risk, it manufactures the feeling of it, and the illusion works so well that we rarely question how carefully it was built. Myth 11. Celebrities don't use ghostwriters. We tend to believe that when a celebrity speaks, writes, or publishes, every word comes directly from their own mind, shaped entirely by personal experience and authentic voice. Memoirs feel intimate, speeches sound personal, captions read like direct access to someone famous, as if we're hearing them without mediation. But behind many of those words are professional writers, editors, and strategists whose job is to translate a public image into language that feels honest, coherent, and marketable. Ghostwriting isn't deception, it's alignment, matching tone to brand, smoothing contradictions, protecting narratives, and ensuring the message lands the way it's meant to. The myth survives because authorship feels sacred, and admitting collaboration disrupts the idea of authenticity we attach to celebrity voices. In reality, the story may be lived by one person, but the language is often shaped by many because in fame, even expression becomes a managed asset. Myth 12. Celebrities don't get lonely. Fame looks crowded: entourages, fans, events, constant attention, a life surrounded by people. From the outside, loneliness seems impossible when millions recognize your face and follow your life. But fame replaces intimacy with exposure. Trust becomes difficult when every interaction might be transactional, and privacy erodes as attention grows. Relationships narrow, circles shrink, and connection becomes harder to maintain because few people can meet you without expectation or agenda. The myth survives because loneliness is associated with invisibility, not hypervisibility, but being seen by everyone doesn't mean being known by anyone. Fame amplifies isolation by removing the ordinary spaces where genuine connection grows. Myth 13. Celebrity relationships are fairy tales. When two famous people come together, it feels cinematic: beautiful faces, wealth, shared success, and endless access. The story writes itself: love amplified by fame, a partnership that seems insulated from ordinary problems. But celebrity relationships carry unique pressures: power imbalances, demanding schedules, public scrutiny, and constant performance, where even private moments become public property. Conflict isn't just emotional, it's logistical, legal, and reputational, and separation becomes a headline rather than a healing process. The myth survives because we want love stories to feel elevated by success, but fame doesn't simplify relationships, it complicates them. A Affection doesn't scale with visibility, and intimacy often struggles under the weight of constant observation.